I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and we are in Beverly Hills, California at Lucid Studios, and let me tell you, we got an event for you tonight. We're going to be talking about the future of entertainment. We have three rock stars in the field. Let's get to their bios, and let's get started on the programming. All right, first up, Jeff Bowler is an Emmy Award-winning film and television producer and financier with a diverse career in the entertainment industry. He began as the Director of Business Development for Bandai, then served as Vice President of Business Development at WWE, where he helped launch WWE Films and co-produced the Mummy franchise and The Scorpion King. From 2012 to 2017, Jeff was Head of Acquisitions and Production for The Exchange, contributing to over 100 films, including Dear White People and Two Guns. He created the hit TV series Inked in 2005 and has produced over 250 million in films with more than 300 hours of television content as co-owner of Wonder Film Media. Give it up for Jeff. All right, and to his left, Michael Becker, founder of...
Right.
Oh. To you, yep, that's to your right, my left. We got Michael Becker, and he has 25 years of experience working in the entertainment industry. He began his career as a talent agent representing writers, directors, cinematographers, and producers. Through his tenure as an agent, Mike orchestrated numerous high-profile deals for his clients, including working on iconic projects such as Sex and the City, iRobot, The Notebook, Nip Tuck, Panic Room, The West Wing, among many others. In 2008, Michael founded the production company Imprint Entertainment and has overseen more than $1.8 billion with a B in worldwide box office success. Notable credits under Imprint Entertainment's banner include the Twilight Saga franchise, as well as films such as Stepfather, featuring Penn Badgley and Amber Heard, Pawn, starring Forrest Whitaker, Ray Liotta, Common, and Michael Chiklis, The Vault, starring James Franco and Taryn Manning, and Worth, starring Michael Keaton and Stanley Tucci. Let's give it up. And he currently has a film in production that we're going to kick this off with in a moment, but I want to get this next bio, of course. Big stuff happening, though. All right, Erik Heintz. Yeah, Erik Heintz is Head of Development at Adam Rose Entertainment, which oversees 26 million plus followers and 1 billion plus monthly views. An executive producer at Snow Story, where he oversees vertical drama production across LA, Atlanta, and Vancouver. And if you don't exactly know what vertical production is, it's big, and we're going to be going into it today because he's been teaching me about it, and I'm excited to get in with everyone else as well. A former creative marketing producer at Disney, he now develops cutting-edge content at the intersection of storytelling and platform innovation, with a focus on mobile-first and short-form formats shaping the future of entertainment. Let's give it up for Erik. All right, so we're here to talk about film, we're here to talk about finance, we're here to talk about what's next, whether it's verticals or whether it's AI and everything in between. But first, Michael, Animation Groove Tales, talk to me. You're in production right now. There's some big names in here. Ansel Elgort, Ludacris, Alan Ridgson, Missy Elliott, Halle Bailey. I mean, talk to me.
Sure, it's a film that we're doing independently, but it's animation that we feel that we can compete with the studio on. It's not a small animation, but it's not a $100 million animation that you would normally expect from a studio. So we're at a fraction of that price, but enough to compete. Mm-hmm. But it does go along with what we're doing here because the majority of that particular movie as well is senior lending, debt financing on the film. There's a small portion in equity, and then we come in for the remainder of the financing in debt, exactly what we're going to talk about today, in debt financing.
It's awesome. Want to hear more. So Jeff, for those of you that have been watching either the show for a while or been to one of these events, you know that Jeff and Michael, we've worked with them before. They've been up here on panels. And we had an announcement that was happening quite some time ago that was in the works, and it was up and coming. I'm proud to say it's live. It's happening. Alchemy Standard. Who wants to tee it up?
Sure. Alchemy Standard is something that after being in entertainment for a long time and as a producer and raising money and and for countless amounts of movies, for Jeff and I, we'd always go to the bank, we'd go to other lenders to try to raise money, and we decided, why don't we do it ourselves? Why don't we, everyone's coming to us for money and we're raising money for other films, why don't we put together a fund and do senior lending, debt financing, gap lending, and some bridge lending, all in more of the senior position. And so we put together this fund to do just that, and I think we can compete really well with the banks and a couple other companies.
Thanks for everybody coming. Appreciate it. I've got just a real quick funny story before we start. So I've been friends with Michael for 25 years, and I've been friends with this guy, Erik, for 44 years. I know we don't look 44. I know we don't. We're both turning 50 in the next month or two, but we've been friends 44 years. We met at camp when we were 4 years old. Our kids grew up together. We grew up together. But the funny story is, when I was 33 years ago, approximately, my dad got me my first car. I was 16. I got a speeding ticket. I'm sure like a lot of teenagers did. But my parents wouldn't pay for the speeding ticket, and I didn't have a job. So I decided to throw a big house party when my parents were gone one weekend and charged everybody 10 or 20 bucks to come. And we had a DJ and we had a full bar and at 16, right? My best friend at the time, her name was Stacy, and Erik came to the party. I introduced him to Stacy, and that became his first wife. I also introduced him to his fourth and fifth wives, too.
Not true.
Oh, yours didn't work either?
Yeah.
You're lucky.
I can't speak.
No, I only introduced him to his first wife. But yeah, we've been friends that long, and I'm proud to be here with both these guys, and Adam and Shirag. And we're so excited to launch the Alchemy Standard Debt Fund. Like Michael was saying, when I started in this business, I don't know, 25 years ago or so, my first movie, I had no clue what I was doing. And I've told this story before, if some of you have heard this. And it was a little $2 million movie. It was Brittany Murphy's last movie, called Across the Hall. And I found this, we developed it. We spent a year developing the script. And I wasn't thinking about the business of it at all at the time, nor did I know the business of it at all. So we made it for $2 million, and my buddy put all up in equity. I didn't know about tax credits. I didn't know about senior lending. I didn't know about any of this stuff. So we made it for $2 million and sold it for $1 million, and we lost $1 million. And I promised myself and my partners that we would never do that again. So I did a deep dive into the business of finance of films, went into sales, distribution, learned all of that, learned kind of behind the curtain on the finance plans, how to kind of de-risk everything. And that's what we've been doing ever since. We've borrowed, like Michael said, we've borrowed, I don't know how many hundreds of millions from private investors and equity, debt, second position gap, all of that stuff. And I said, we know our numbers as good, maybe as good as anybody in the business. And why don't we start our own bank? And here we are. Tonight's the first night. Yeah.
And I guess taking that a step further, I mean, many investors do still view film as high-risk investment. So what makes it different?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you talk to some people and you mention film financing and they kind of like, whoa, it's not. We've heard horror stories. It's just what Jeff said. It's people are investing in the wrong. Look, you can take a risk and invest in equity, or you can have wins every time and just do the senior lending and the debt lending. And there's different portions in a finance plan that you can always see returns on, and they're all backed by contracts. They're all collateralized. You take a lien on the film and you get your money back in the first position, and everyone that sits behind you in the waterfall it comes in after you. But as far as what we're doing on the senior lending, it's really just collateralized lending, and first position, or it could be a gap as well.
Yeah, just to add on to that, it's everybody thinks of Hollywood and the home runs, and there's plenty of outliers, where you can just do it all equity, and your rich uncle gives you a check, and it hits. More than likely it's not. And more than likely you will lose most of your equity if your financing isn't smart, right? You have to have a finance plan and a budget that all balance, and like Michael said, that's where we come in a senior position. And when he says we collateralize it, we actually take the different territories around the world. So say the UK territory for film A is worth $2 million, we'll discount that and lend $1 million, but then we'll take the whole thing as collateral. And we might do that against the US rights or Canada or a group of territories. But we take all of that as collateral at a discounted rate. And they're given there's two ways to do it. You have sales estimates, and then you have sales completed. And we're going to focus more on completed sales. So, for example, if Sky in the UK wants to buy Groove Tales, the animated movie that Michael's producing right now, for $2 million in the UK, they'll give him a contract for that. They're not going to give him cash. He still has to turn that contract into cash somehow. So he can go to any bank, any commercial bank will do these contracts, especially with A-paper, places like Sky, Fox, Amazon, Paramount. But the producer still needs to turn that into cash to make the movie. And if you go to a commercial bank, it could take months and months of closing. We've all done it. And sometimes you don't have months and months to wait. Yeah, you could get a much better rate, but we can close much faster with our debt fund. I mean, if something comes in that's the right thing, we've all been doing this for so long, we can look at it, and within an hour or so, we can have an analysis done saying yes or no, at least initially. And we can close in a week, which is much more advantageous to the producers to work with someone like us. But yeah, we take collateral on the project. Like Michael said, we take a lien on the whole movie. We get paid first. So that's the de-risking of this. I would rather hit a single for the next 20 years and do that 50 times a year than lose someone's money, lose my money, So, and by doing this, we're also creating a lot of jobs. A lot of these movies are 200 people plus, and we're going to have a big piece of that. And we are going to take, even though we're a debt lender, we're going to take a piece of the back end profits just in case, but we still are putting money in. And we're going to treat it as what we call dequity. It's debt, but we're taking a little piece of equity without paying for the equity.
So Erik, we got to get you in here, man. Too quiet over there. So you're working on something called verticals. I think I've been educated since talking to you about this, but I didn't know what they were at first. Maybe just start with kind of a primer there, and how this relates just for everybody is that when we're looking at content, whether it's traditional film or whether it's verticals, whether it's AI, what's next, whatever it is, there's going to be some form and type of lending, some type of senior position there. So why I was excited to have Erik on here is just to see what's next. So talk to me educate us first on what verticals are and why they matter.
Yeah, just so I don't preach to the choir here, I guess make a little noise if you know what a vertical drama is.
There's people at home that are watching, don't worry, start from the beginning.
There's people that know, so that's great. So for the uninitiated, the reason why they call them vertical dramas is because you hold your phone vertically, you watch them vertically on your phone. That's the way they're shot, that's the way they're consumed, that's why they're called vertical dramas. So they're also called mini dramas, short dramas, and they've taken over. Okay, is this better? Thank you so much. Yeah, amateur hour here. Sorry, guys. Yeah, admittedly so, right? I don't speak at panels a lot. But over the past year and a half, they've really taken over the business. They're drinking Hollywood's milkshake a little bit, right? So you've seen the percentages. Production's down 40%. Guess what's up? Guess what 80% of all production is right now? It's these vertical dramas, which is crazy. Only about 210 of them have been shot as of last month in the US. The more successful apps are China-based. They saw huge success with it. We're saying, hey, we're missing all these eyeballs in the US. We have to start tapping some US companies, some US actors to do these things. And right now, you'll see, I guess, some titles will have 150 to 250 million views, right? And we can get into the math about that later, but it's pretty impressive. And if you asked me a year and a half ago, would I be working on that? I don't know, I was working at Disney before, on cool projects, right? Like Sony and Marvel and all those things. I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with that. That sounds like it's a downgrade from what I was doing before. But then I saw the same crews that was working on like Sony and Marvel and Lionsgate stuff, working on these crews, and supporting families and everything here in LA. And I'm like, okay, I'm in, right? How can I help? And so that's what I did. I put my biz dev cap on and went out there, got more clients, shifted the business models a little bit so it could make it more sustainable. And I got some more exciting stuff to talk about, but I think that's a good intro to verticals. Right?
Clean, but like how long they are and stuff. Like
Sure,
short
yeah.
bit,
Let me give you a
what
breakdown.
they are.
Yeah, so think of a feature-length film that you break down into 60 to 80 episodes. They're all like a minute to 90 seconds long. And they're like there's a formula to it where they build it off of dopamine hits. So there's cliffhangers every minute. So you have to watch the next episode. So the business model is you get to watch the 5 to 10 episodes for free. It's kind of like a crack rock. They gave you the first one for free, and then you got to come back and pay, right? Sorry if people didn't grow up in the 90s, but that's what happened, right? So, yeah, so after that paywall, they either have to pay tokens, pay a subscription, or they use an AVOD model, where you have to watch ads to see more episodes. Is that a good breakdown so far? Yeah. All right, great, guys.
How do you two see? I mean, chime in. What do you see in this market?
It's funny. 6 months ago, I was sitting with Erik at lunch, and I was like, "So what are you up to?" He's like, "Oh, I'm producing 90 vertical movies this year." I'm like, 90? Jesus. And then he told me what they are. He's like, "You know what verticals are?" I'm like, like vertical categories in business? He's like, "No." He's like, vertical shots, so you get the whole frame on your phone, and they're really soapy, and like women love them. I'm like, I put my head down. I'm like, they got me last week. They sucked me in. Yeah. I was watching The Billionaire's Mistress or something crazy. They all sound like that. Yeah. And I was like, oh wow, this is great. Then I got to episode 10, and I'm like, it's got to be over soon.
I think it was
didn't know what they were.
The Billionaire.
That's what something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's got to be over soon. Is he going to get married to her or not? And then it's like, okay, pay $29.99 for the monthly subscription now after episode 10, and you get to see the next 60. I'm like, 60 at $2 an episode. And I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. But they got me. And then I was like, okay, so that's a vertical.
Yeah, it was a good explanation for sure for the business model. Yeah.
So how do you think this can work into your models? I mean, explaining what you guys see as the business model that comes out of this.
Well, I think we're in a good position because it doesn't matter if you're a film. Our model works for film, television. It doesn't have to be independent either, but independent television, new media. So everything needs lending, and on the debt side as well, it's verticals the same thing. We can come in for a portion of the debt on these verticals, and I think in any type of media, and this media is amazing. We've been looking for a way to get into verticals. Erik happens to be the number one person in the U.S. for verticals right now, and we can go in with them. There'll be some other companies popping up in that space as well, and so I think for Alchemy Standard, I think it's great. All media.
Yeah, it's something that we'll look at in the future for sure. Like Mike said. Right now, we don't know how to quantify it or put an exact value on it because there's there's plenty of making. They spend $100,000 to $400,000 making these full-length movies, cutting them into these 80 episodes. Some are making 10, 20, 50, 70, 80, 90 million.
That's correct.
You think about it, if you're paying $1 to $2 per episode, and there's 60 episodes, you've now just paid $120 to rent this very low-budget soapy movie. Instead of some of the movies that we make, we have a lot of big partners and we make a lot of big movies, and those are for $24.99, not $120. So they're making tens of millions, but it's hard to quantify it because right now it's been running all through Chinese apps. There's nothing based in the States, but we're definitely keeping our eye on it because someone's going to tap into that outside of just the equity.
I've got news, Jeff. I've got news. Oh yeah. So yes, the most successful apps are China-based, and you can go to your iPhone right now, go to entertainment, look at the top 40. Right under TikTok, you'll see Real Short, Drama Box, Drama Shorts, Shortsy, and there's a lot of competition popping up from interesting places as well, from Eastern Europe, the Ukraine, Israel, and the people who are making these things. The filmmakers are people who did successful Netflix shows, successful studio projects. So it's a very interesting space. And because there's competition, the business models are becoming more competitive as well, right? Like when I first walked into it, I didn't realize how much money they were making. It was services for fees. Happy to be working, happy to have crews working, right? And it's like, okay, well, we could co-finance and we could share in the royalties. And you probably get a better cut with an up-and-coming company than you would a more established company with a bigger infrastructure, if that makes sense, right? And so, you know, some friends mutual friends of ours were thinking, like, why hasn't anybody done a US-based app yet? Why do we want to miss the train? So guess what? We're doing a US-based app, and you can come talk to me later about it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Good.
So switching it up a bit here, I want to get into the fund a bit, and maybe just for some context, you did go through like what a deal could look like. Talk about one that maybe you've done in the past, like in general. I know the fund is new, but in your careers, talk about one where you've come in and come in as a lender and help that film get completed.
Yeah, because usually we're on the borrowing side. We're not usually lending, or we're brokering finance. So a lot of times, when we were brokering the financing, well, actually, here's a good story. So I made a movie with Morgan Freeman 5 years ago, and his page, we're shooting in Mississippi where he lives. So there was, I think, a 35% tax credit above the line and below the line. So your actors, producers, directors, your crew fees all got 35%. If your star was Mississippi-based resident, you got another 10. If your star that lived in Mississippi was a war vet, you got another 5. And Morgan hit and ticked all those boxes for us, which was great. So theoretically, we paid him a $2 million salary for the movie. We got back basically half of it, which was nice. But my partners that brought me the movie didn't have any financing. And it was still a gross budget about 10 million after the tax credits, maybe about 6.5 or 7 million, can't remember. And the only way to get the financing was either you find alt equity, which I'm not a fan of, and I wouldn't be part of that because that would be too risky. So what I did was I put up a 20% deposit to Morgan Freeman myself personally for $400,000. It was my first time personally investing in my own movies. I mean, at a reasonably, amount of money. So I put up the $400,000. He signed his contract a week later. A week later, that contract gave us the rights to go out to the banks and shop the project as a Morgan Freeman movie and go to the sales companies and go to all the different countries and the film markets and sell it. And I knew going into it that our sales were going to be on a low end about 8 million on a low end. Target was 10, the high was 12 million. So I said, okay. And when we say we put a lien on things, even though it was my own project, I took a lien on the whole film myself because I had other partners, but I was the only one putting up the 400,000. So I did take a lien on it. I went to a sales company that introduced me to a debt lender. That debt lender put up, I think it was like 6.5 million. I think that was, and then I got the whole movie done. And that person took a lien on the whole project, and they got first position. They got everything. So I guess you could say it was equity because it was the whole budget minus my 400. But it got the movie made. But they took everything as collateral, and I think we did 8.5 million in sales, and there was 2 million in overages for everybody to split. Yeah.
That's a good example.
So in this scenario, we would be the bank now that we have our own fund. And not that we would take the whole thing, but if it was that safe, we would, because they do come around those projects like that.
So the vision for Alchemy Standard, like talk to me about the vision, the type of movies that you look to invest in, maybe some valuations, what range, like get into that a bit before we open it up for some questions.
Sure. On the valuations, I think it just comes down to the deal for us. So if we're looking at contracts that are done internationally and they may be 5 million, we'll definitely consider that. If they're $1 million, we consider that. So I think for us it just comes down to the actual deal itself. We don't want to be doing projects that we also, we don't love ourselves, I guess. But
to an extent, we love money though.
Yeah, exactly. So but it doesn't really matter on the size of the deal, as long as it makes sense. And most of these are, like I said, collateralized projects, so we're really just banking contracts and collecting back from that and putting a lien on everything, and then once we're out, the rest of everyone gets paid off. And what we're out. So whether the movie actually makes money or doesn't make money, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters to us, but it doesn't matter to us financially. We don't have skin in the game. We're already out. We've moved on. We hope it's successful because we'll have a couple points in the movie, and you want to be associated with a successful film. But ultimately, doesn't matter to us. We're 100% on those.
Yeah, exactly. And the stage that we get projects at, they're already pretty much packaged for the most part, so they're ready to go. So it's a film that's going in 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, and they already have sales estimates or a sales company. We review those. I know the sales numbers as good as anybody. We also have a third party that we use for verification, just to kick the tires again in-house. So we just look at the valuation and then we lend against the value. It's nothing different than real estate, right? Loan to value. It's the same model. It's just a different widget, right? Like Mike said, we do want to make good movies. We want to make our investors money first. So maybe there is a project that we don't love, but it makes a lot of sense on paper for everybody, and it employs a lot of people. We'll still do that. If we are taking the emotion out of the decision, it really is the bottom line when we do our analysis, and that's how we're going to judge every project. But yeah, do we want to work with good people? Absolutely. Do we want to make good movies? 100%, of course.
And on most of these, they're mostly bonded films, so they're insured to delivery. So we're not really taking much of a risk. The only risk you kind of have would be if they didn't deliver the movie at all. But most of these are bonded, and so it's like getting an insurance policy and for delivery. And so they watch over it. If it starts going out of hand, they'll take it over and they'll deliver the film. And so as long as at their cost, as the insurance company will pay for it. So as long as there is, so as long as it's delivered, we get paid. And I would say 99%. I rarely ever see something not get delivered, but it's just an extra added value to have a bond, and so for the most part we will do that. There's a couple times that we'd make a decision that we'd go without a bond, but for the most part it would be bond.
Yeah. So we're open this week. We're reviewing about 15 different projects. We've capped the fund at $60 million. And we're here to have fun and make some money and meet some new people and give people jobs, keep people working.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Mission Matters. If this is your first time with us, this is a daily show. Each and every day we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, don't forget, hit that subscribe or follow button, and we'll see you next time.